Hello and welcome to the Sunken Ship One Tile Industries DLC Challenge. I'm your builder, New Build Cities, NBC for short, and Sunken Ship, a featured channel listed on my channels page, posted a One Tile Industries DLC challenge that involves getting all 4 industries from the Industries DLC to level 5 on one tile, normal money, Milestones Locked, and on the map Noyou port from the Airports DLC. This video is the first part of the challenge where I start a self-sustaining stable city and then build up a forestry industry. I'm going to show most of the builds since this can serve as a good example of how to start a city as well as how to get a great start to completing this challenge. This challenge itself took probably 5 hours to complete, so there will be a part 2 and maybe a part 3 in this series. You can see from the natural resources info view that we do have all resources in this starting area. We'll have our oil industry, of course, where the oil is. We'll build an ore industry to the left of the entrance into the area. We'll build a forestry area to the right of the entrance. And then we'll build a farming area in this bottom right corner. Let's get started. So what I'm going to do is build a basic roundabout for the entrance into the city. It's the easiest way to connect to the highway and one I'm very familiar with. And the roundabout that we're going to build here is a level 2 roundabout. I do have a roundabout play series that you can check out that goes through maybe 5 different levels, starting at the basic circle to all the way up to a highway interchange. We'll go ahead and bring off the center of the roundabout a main road that kind of runs through the middle of the tile. We'll bring one off to the right side that kind of cuts between the middle and the right side. And then we'll have one that kind of comes off the left, somewhat follows the mountain ridge and goes over the little stream. So let's go ahead and build the exit / entryways onto the roundabout. And I'm looking for 2 angles, 153, 154, something like that in 60 degrees. Always starting with the road that exits the roundabout first. And that's our level 2 roundabout. And what makes that a level 2 roundabout? It's because it has the angled road. So level 1 would be just a circle with 4 or however many roads you want butt up against to it and a 90 degree. And then level 2 is adding those V-shaped or angled roads, which help allow the cars to get in and out of the roundabout faster, which of course increases the throughput of the roundabout. So let's go ahead and start drawing out our main roads. I'm going to start with dirt roads. I'm going to go ahead and leave a gap between the roads on the first road off the main road because I want to eventually upgrade that to a 4-lane or possibly 6-lane road. And of course, when you do that, you lose a zoning tile or zoning square, as well as we're going to do dirt roads for now because we do have normal money. So we got to save a little bit of money kind of by doing that first. We're going to basically grid out our industry. Like I said, on the right side of the roundabout as we're looking at it now. When you first come in the city, you will have a little bit of commercial, and then we'll have some residential shortly after that. So the first 3 blocks when you come off the roundabout going straight will be kind of commercial. The large rectangles on the side will be our industry, and then going down Main Street, some of those bigger blocks will be our residential. And like I said, I'm just using dirt roads because it's cheaper. We can upgrade them later. Now I'm just going to run the water. What we'll use in this city, since it's only going to be 1 tile and we'll probably get to maybe, I don't know, 8,000 citizens, if that. You probably need 2 water pumps max. So what we'll probably do is use 1 water pump in the little stream that we have. I think 2 is going to probably dry it up. So we'll end up using maybe 2 water towers on top of that. Let's go ahead and place our first water pump now, connect that, and then we'll use the inland water treatment plant from the Sunset Harbor DLC for our sewage processing. And we'll just place that right into the middle of the industry. They don't care about pollution, so why should I? So we do have some wind on that mountain ridge right up against where we're placing our industry. So I'm going to head and use some wind turbines, and I'll just place them as I go. I use wind turbines just because they're the superior choice over coal. And by superior, what do I really mean? It's just cheaper. So the nice benefit of the wind is it has the lower operating costs. I want to say wind is $10 per megawatt per week, whereas coal is $14 per megawatt per week. I'm pretty sure. It's been a little while since I've done the math. So you save some money, some weekly costs, and that's really the name of the game in this game. Since things don't degrade or need to be replaced over time, the weekly operating cost becomes the driving factor for its total cost of the equipment. So over time, wind becomes far, far cheaper than coal. So with wind, you can place the first one down in the beginning, and as your city grows, you can expand your wind production with your city. So you kind of spread out that initial cost. So coal is a little bit convenient for price. You place the one asset down, and then you adjust the budget down and bring it back up as your city expands. With wind, you basically just put one turbine down, and as your city expands, you just add another turbine. And everything's just running. So now we're just going to let it run in. Everything's filling in. Hooray! Little Hamlet. It's our first milestone, and it's the milestone where garbage, healthcare, and education become available. So we'll probably put down an elementary school here shortly, healthcare center, namely the clinic, and a landfill. I do have the Green Cities DLC, so I have recycle centers available to me, but they're a little bit more expensive than landfills. I think landfills are $1.60 a week. Recycle centers are $2.40. Nothing wrong with just putting down recycle centers. I'm going to go a little bit on the cheap here and just throw down a landfill for now. And as it gets to 75, 85 or full, if I forget, at that point I'll go ahead and place my first recycle center. But I'm going to let my landfill just kind of fill up as we move along and try and earn some more money. We do need people in our cities. Let's go ahead and bring them in. And since this is a challenge, I'm not trying to make this the most beautiful city I've ever built. I'm not going to be super particular about how things are zoned. If you're a fan of the channel, you probably know that I like to take my time with my zoning, because a lot of times I'm looking for a certain look, a certain building style, or a certain building type. But in this city, we're just going to do basic grids for the most part and just get people moving in. Hey, Worthy Village, milestone number 2. I like milestone 2. It's a good milestone. We get the ability to paint districts, which is really cool. We get self-sufficient buildings, which is nice, as well as the organic and local produce, which we'll be using both of those. Of course, if we were using the industry specialization, we could use forestry and agriculture, but this is going to be industries DLC, so we'll just wait until the next milestone to place that. We get police and fire as well. And our first district is going to be European Suburban. I always like that style. And if you're a fan of my channel, you know I always love placing European suburbia with European high density. They just look like they should be the same district style. I think Elizabeth Heights will be self-sufficient, and Dale District will go ahead and make local and organic produce. Tiny Town, woo! That's a good one. It's probably one of the best ones, other than Big Town, which is where you get your high density stuff. Tiny Town's great because you get park areas, industry areas, and also fishing. So if you have Sunset Harbor, Park Life DLC, and Industries DLC, this is a very cool time because you can get them 3 started. And those 3, Park Life, Industries DLC, and the fishing from the Sunset Harbor, are 3 of the 5 pillars of City Skylines finances and how to crush the game's money. But in this city, we're only going to be using industry areas. I don't think we'll use park areas. We'll just place a couple of the leisure items for that. And I don't want to pull jobs away from my Industries DLC by placing down the fishing assets. It might have been the last milestone, or it might have been the first milestone. I don't remember when you get to adjust taxes, but I forgot to make them 12. So I'm just going to go ahead and make them 12 now. And I want to go ahead and take our first loan. Not that we need the money per se, as far as we're not making money, but I want to go ahead and just get our forestry industry started. It's being a little bit impatient, so let's go ahead and just take the loan. We're making a decent weekly income, $1,000 or $2,000 a week. And here I just want to frame out a couple dirt roads that allow me to stick the small plantation back to back. And we're going to use the small plantation. And why am I using the small forestry plantation? Well, of course, that's the only one we have available right now. But that one, I would imagine, allows you to fit the most amount of people in terms of workers in the small space. Like the large plantation has more workers in total, but probably takes up like 3 times the area as a small plantation. Maybe double. You could, of course, fact check me on that. Post it in the comments below if I'm off there. But I want to say, if you looked at those 2 assets, you can probably get more people in the same space using the small versus the large. So you may ask, how, NBC, are you going to start your forestry industry? Pretty straightforward, pretty easy, pretty simply, really. I'm just going to place 1 or 2 of the small plantations down, and then I'm going to place the sawdust storage unit down, and I'm going to let the game run until my sawdust storage unit gets to about 50% full. Then I'm going to go ahead and place 1 or 2 sawmills down. And then I'll go ahead and place the small warehouse yard and set it to plain timber. And then I'm going to let the game run until we meet both the number of people and the amount of things produced. And why am I doing that? It's probably the simplest, easiest way to do it. And it's going to ensure that I don't screw up the Industries DLC right off the bat. I'm going to be able to easily balance this. I'm going to be able to easily stagger the assets. So what's staggering? Staggering or desynchronizing is basically the act of making sure your assets aren't, well, synced up. Producing things at the same time. It helps reduce traffic. It helps smoothen out the supply chain, smoothing out your income. Because what ends up happening is, like I said, things are kind of steadily producing as opposed to all on, all off. So what you probably saw with the plantations is I just tried to make sure they were like 10 tons apart. And now our storage unit is set to 40 or 50. It's pretty close. And let's go and place our first sawmill with our first small warehouse yard. And our unemployment is 21, which is a little high. But I want people to go work at my forestry industry, so guess what? That's okay. And we're going to go ahead and continue expanding that and placing more and more assets. You see, I already placed the second sawmill. And now we're going to go ahead and place the third small plantation. And now we have our third sawmill. So we're like expanding. So that unemployment number is going to come down. And once again, I'm just doing the desynchronization kind of thing. Just making sure they're all set. And for some reason, the blue magic doesn't work. I gotta run power line anyway. I forgot we got our horizontal down. I didn't even see that. Hopefully you saw that. And it looks like I edited it out getting to the next milestone because we have to place our cemetery. So we'll go ahead and place the cemetery too. Oh, and our industry leveled to level 2. We can now make paper using the biomass pellet plant. And we get a furniture factory, which is great because now we can go ahead and start making unique factory products, which is really the moneymaker of the Industries DLC. I want to get that thing to 150% and either export all that or consume it. I don't really care at this point. I just want to get that thing cranking away. And what I'm doing is trying to keep the number of small plantations equal to about the number of processing buildings. So I have 3 sawmills and 2 pellet plants right now, and I think I have 5 or 6 small plantations. I'm trying to keep a roughly 1-to-1 ratio. And at this point, I probably should put down a second sawdust storage unit to help buffer our raw material. And now all we need to do is have our paper plants just start making paper, fill up the small warehouse yard is set to paper, and then that can start being consumed by our furniture factory. They can start making unique factory products. They'll go ahead and fill up our small warehouse yard for unique factory products. Once that kind of gets to its steady state, we'll start exporting and of course delivering some of that to our commercial area, and we'll start making some more money. I'm gonna go ahead and dezone our generic industry. Like I said in the beginning, we're going to use the unique factory product as our quote-unquote good for both our commercial area and to export. And our residential area is looking pretty nice. I mean, I think our city is actually looking really good for just throwing it together to try and accomplish this challenge. I think I add a little bit more commercial in our residential area. And of course, light density commercial, at least for me, has never caused any issues with my residents. I don't mind zoning, of course, office or light density commercial, especially the local and organic produce right up against our residential folks. Like I said, they don't ever seem to mind. As you can see, we're starting to really do well with our unique factory products, as well as our plain timber and paper. Things are starting to fill up. So let's continue building out the neighborhood. And you may have noticed I'm zoning like 1 or 2 kind of like squares of residential, and then I'm checking our forestry industry, or doing this or doing that, just kind of checking tabs on the city. And that's just because I'm trying to avoid death waves, even though this is a challenge. This city's not going to stick around forever. I still want to follow good zoning practice. It's just a habit. Let's crank this bad boy up. Let's go all the way. Oh, we lost our power. That's what happens sometimes when you dezone buildings or buildings go abandoned and you have a lot of power, but areas don't have power. It could be just like what I just did here. Dezone some buildings and you lost your power connection. I just want to go ahead and bring this down a little farther. And some of these blocks I'm not going to have go all the way through. I'll create like little almost cul-de-sacs. I don't like to have too many intersections on my main roads. It just can cause traffic issues for whatever reason. All the traffic lights. I hate traffic lights. They don't do anything in this game. I mean, I hate traffic lights. I probably say it every time I turn them off. they just don't really serve a purpose on vanilla slash console, so no mods, because you can't get a left turn arrow. Basically what it comes down to. So it doesn't really solve any problem. Of course you can use it to kind of create like a look in your city of traffic kind of pulsing, or to kind of create traffic. But for the most part, traffic lights don't solve traffic problems. They actually cause traffic problems. So I always turn them off. And if I have an area that has like a traffic issue, I might try turning it on just to see if that helps. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. And then I gotta do something else. But every once in a while it does. So Woodland's gonna also be European suburbia. Just creating some variety. We have some self-sufficient, we have some vanilla, we have some European suburbia. Oh, there it is, folks. I told you I was gonna forget about our garbage. So our garbage is full. So now it's time to place some recycle centers. We're making, I don't know, 10,000, maybe a little bit higher, 15,000 a week. Now that we're starting to export and consume some of these unique factory products. So now our finances are starting to kind of get ahead in life. And we don't have to be so much concerned about the budget. And what I'm going to do is just increase everything, as well as I forgot to put all the budgets to 101. And of course, I recommend you put all your budgets to 101. It gives you an extra vehicle for like your police, your garbage. I'm not really sure what it does for schools. Industries DLC, all the buildings get an extra truck, extra taxi if we use taxis, all that stuff. So it's nice, like I said, to just put all your budgets to 101. It's barely a noticeable increase in cost to give you that extra service vehicle or whatever. Level 4. Oh man, we missed level 3. I must have edited that out. Sorry, but we hit level 4. Nothing really useful that we're going to use at this stage. Normally, I might swap out our sawmills for the engineer plant, because that is the more efficient plant. But that's okay. I'm good with what we have for now, so I'm not going to go ahead and mess with anything. And it looks like our storage is doing well. The second one is exporting, which is fine. We have that first one in reserve to kind of serve locally. I'm not a big fan of exporting any of like the raw resource, because it's just not worth it, as you don't really make any money off of that. Let's take a look at our forestry industry and see how it's doing. So it looks like we have 669 available jobs, and we got 604 people in those jobs, which means we need to put down more stuff to get that number up so that we can get to 800. I'm not that worried about it yet, because it looks like we're at what, 48,000 of 135,000 units of things that we need to make. So we're still, what's that, like almost a fourth, we'll say a third of the way there. So we have some time to kind of continue working on the city, growing the population, tweaking things here and there before we need to hit the worker number. So I'm just going to go ahead and let it run. I said we're making some decent money, so let's go ahead and bring people in. Let's go ahead and put some transit in. That might help our land value and get people moving around a little bit better in our little town here. I got this weird block that's got like all this space. Let's go ahead and put the bus station right in the middle. And I'm just going to run a couple routes. I'm going to run the pink route, or whatever this is, down into the residential area, and then we'll bring it up to the commercial area. That's just a simple collapsing route. And then what I will do is we'll do a crossing route on top of that. So we'll have a little bit of a transfer, and this will bring folks, we'll say, east to west towards our forestry industry, so that they want to take the bus to work, they can take the bus to work. It also connects to the school. It looks like the high school and one of the elementary schools is right there. So that's good. I'm trying to get that thing not to cross, but I don't think I'm going to be able to successfully do it. Oh, it looks like it did. I don't like my routes to cross sometimes. I think I finally got it. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell sometimes when it's yellow on light gray. So that looks good. And I think we'll do like one more route that kind of crosses here. I think this is the blue route, and we'll just bring this up. And it can kind of zigzag its way around, and the buses kind of like overlap each other. So if people need to move around, they can. And like I said, the main purpose of these bus routes is really just to level up the buildings. And they'll get more use as we upgrade some of this light density to high density. And we'll make the first one the double-decker. I like the double-decker, it's cool. And we'll make the next one the bendy bus, I think. And the last one. This is like to our industry. We'll just make that. Maybe we'll make that a little minivan. And I'm gonna do a little bit of a trick here because I want to go ahead and up the number of available work locations so I can get more people to work at the forestry industry. And what I did here is just place down a couple of the plantations and turned them off. And for whatever reason in the game, even when you put assets down and turn them off, people go there and work. So it'll help boost our numbers, won't cost us a dime to do it, as well as not upset the supply chain because we already have it running pretty much like a finely tuned machine. We have 865 seats and 847 people are there. So we've met our worker requirement. So as long as we can maintain that, we'll be pretty good. We now just need to hit the 135,000 units. We're at 61, so it's just a matter of time. And I'll probably let our forestry industry run for a little bit so we can hit that production number. And we'll end the episode here. And I think in the next part of this series, we'll go ahead and start our farming industry in the corner of the map over here. So we'll go ahead and paint that in so I have that marked for next time. It was fun starting the city, as well as getting our forestry industry up to level 4. And it's right on its way to level 5. And I hope you enjoyed the journey so far, and I hope you'll continue along with me. And if you did, please leave a like to help support and grow the channel. I wish you the best and brightest success in your cities, and as always, happy building.